Like, it just blows my mind.
So I think what makes that worse is not only are they not good stewards, but then they villainize the wrong people in the process. So there's a double bad truth. So I work in the high net worth, ultra high net worth private equity world, right? Which is all about, to some degree, tax efficiency.
Yeah.
The reality is that the wealthiest people in this country pay the lion's share of the federal income tax.
Yeah.
And about 40% of the U.S. population pays zero.
Oh, yeah.
But gets all the benefits, the roads, the bridges, the hospitals, the military, all of it. There is a fundamental problem with a system which says you're not paying your fair share. That fair share is actually, that's a lie.
Yeah.
And then that burden gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And this side of the equation, their burden doesn't get bigger because it remains at zero.
Yeah.
That is simply not math that works. Period.
It's almost to the point where when you think of like a parasite doesn't kill its host. That's how the parasite survives. But at some point, when a parasite takes too much, right, you get this sort of visceral reaction. And, it's like, to me, it was like, hey, I sent you a 6-7 figure, check of taxes, and you're trying to debank me and kill me. It's like,
exactly,
it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
But then you're also vilified.
Developers are fleeing.
But you're also vilified.
The United States.
Right? So you're vilified as an income earner. You're vilified because you're in the crypto industry.
Yeah.
But the politicians say that you're actually the enemy, when in reality you're the only hope that we have.
Yeah.
If we don't have people and corporations and entrepreneurs investing capital and capital is flowing, we have no order.
What makes us better than the rest of the world then? At that point, America isn't really the epicenter of freedom and liberty and progress that America is supposed to be, right? We lose that. So
people talk a lot about this country in terms of, this, that, and the other. So in 2012, at the time, my wife and I, we adopted a child from Colombia, as in South America. She was a teenage girl. Yeah, so I was 30. Mm-hmm. This girl was 17. Uh-huh. And so we had to complete the adoption in Colombia. So we had to go to Colombia and go through the Colombian court system to actually finalize the adoption.
What prompted this?
It was a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
We literally felt like there was a call in our life to adopt this child that we were connected to through one of our churches. So we literally felt like the plan was we're going to adopt this child. Like, we didn't have any kids. We're like, we're just going to adopt this child, the 17-year-old girl who spoke no English and I spoke no Spanish. But we're going to adopt this child from Colombia.
Wow.
She spent 6-7 years in in what they call an institution, basically like institutionalized orphanages. Like not good.
Very sad.
So you get down there, and what's interesting about other countries is that their corruption's out in the open. So we had to get some things done with the courts and with some of the local bureaucrats.
I'd prefer that, honestly.
Literally.
Take the money, take your
said,
I know what I'm dealing with.
So we go to the court and say, look, I can't do this. But if you just pay this, we can get it done. And they're out of so their corruption
that is so much
is wide open.
Because we all know it's there. And I think that's what people didn't appreciate. This is what people love about Trump is that Trump came in and said hey, I'm wealthy. All the things that we think they're doing, they're fucking doing. It's how the system works. The system is and people are just like, okay, that's refreshing to just hear the fucking honesty.
Literally.
But instead,
when we talked about how we didn't pay tax, people are like, well, yeah, I mean, Hillary, she could have passed the laws to close loopholes, but she didn't. What's it going to do?
Yeah.
Not use the loopholes he's entitled to using? It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
So what would be beneficial for someone like a Doge is to actually, and this is clearly happening in its infancy, but it will happen, is the sunlight of day on these handouts and the corruption that exists in other countries. It's open, so you know it.
Yeah.
But there's this idea that we don't have it in this country.
I would just prefer
it's
that.
Covert, it's secret. But when all that comes to light, the groundswell I think will become unmanageable for those who want to keep the status quo going.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
Of course,
one of my favorite quotes. It's like this whole thing with did you see the Joe Biden pardon his son? Did you hear that?
I did see that very recently.
He said he wasn't going to do it.
He did.
Everyone's. You watch all these tweets of all these people. They're like, he's a man of his word. He's going to do this, that, and the other. Blah blah blah. It's at the end of the day, that's his son. I don't know how I would react if I was in the situation. I'd probably pardon my own son, right? It's like your family, right? It's as fucked up as it is. He's a crackhead and he did all this crazy shit. He obviously he was obviously guilty of many different things, but Biden's on his way out. Yeah, that's his fame. That's his blood. I don't even fault him for it. What I really I almost feel better about him as a human that he's, you know, infallible and that did that. But, you know, let's not pretend that your shit doesn't stink. I mean, that's what these fuckers, that's what they've been doing for so long. You know, Elizabeth Warren's, all these people. It's like, you know, we know what Trump is. You know, we can very clearly see he's a flawed in many ways, right? He's not perfect, but, you know, his family loves him and the people love him. A lot of people do, right? You know, it's like nobody's fucking perfect, right?
Yeah, but what's so ironical about Trump is that all the things he's called, Hitler, the Antichrist.
You can't even take this stuff. I mean, it's just so absurd.
Think about, I'm not aware of any indictment on any of his kids.
No, he's raised great kids. He's got a great family. Very successful.
Has remained, to my knowledge, relatively scandal-free.
Loyal, exactly. Productive members of society.
So if Hitler can raise kids like that, then I guess I also want to be Hitler.
Yeah, no, it's just
if I can raise my kids like that as well.
It's disgusting what they're polling and what they're doing. I mean, it's like, you know, it's actually, you know, extremely, it minimizes the terror and the terrible things that Hitler did to, you know, people who still have living relatives who went through the Holocaust.
That's true. It really does.
These people need to be called out. You know, they need to be. I mean, this is unacceptable. And I think, you know, people's trust in media is at like 14%, 12%.
Completely.
I mean, it's like nobody believes anything they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these entities are probably going to go out of business, which is a good thing.
The pollsters, the opinion writers.
I mean, it was very obvious the pollsters were completely wrong. They've been wrong for the past 20 years.
Except for the betting markets, right?
Yeah, the betting markets. That's crypto. This is crypto too.
Right, and this is what's so critical.
Poly market.
That people need to understand is that the best way to predict outcomes is through a disparate group of market participants.
Yeah. Money doesn't lie.
Literally.
It literally will, you know, people put their money where their mouth is.
You know this, right? There's a theory called, oh my gosh.
Efficient markets or.
The efficient market hypothesis.
That's what it is, yeah.
Which everything that is known is known, and the price is the price because of that.
Well,
right?
This is like kind of the foundation of Austrian economics. So
exactly,
you know, so if you really looked at,
but if you looked at the market or any of the contract sites, right, Kalshi or like Robinhood who got late to the game, they never had Harris ahead ever. Maybe it was 52.
Poly market flipped for a while, but then went back down.
But that was months ago.
Yeah,
months ago. In the weeks leading up, where Harris was breaking away.
Yeah.
Because the market is the great equilibrium of all the ideology, right? And I think, but what's, you know, and I'd be curious to get your take on this too. To go off topic, is it good for everything in society to be able to become a bettable outcome?
I mean, I'm a degenerate gambler, so I think so.
Right. But does that become, at what point does that become ripe to become like a fait accompli, right? In other words, if there's an event with two potential outcomes and participants are betting on it and money begins to flow, how does it not ultimately dictate the actual outcome